Update. My GF gave me an ultimatum after my request to change our therapist due to them both ganging up on me during our sessions. Post. My girlfriend's parents are divorced, and her father passed away at the end of last year. She was his only child, so she inherited most of his assets, which was a lot, because her father was a wealthy man, at least to my standards. The problem started after she took care of all the formalities regarding the inheritance. We moved in together, which made me happy because we've been together for 4 years already. At first, I thought that the apartment we've moved in was the only one she inherited because we didn't spoke much about her father's fortune, but it turned out that it was just one of the 5 apartments that she inherited. I asked her why she would withhold this information from me, and she told me that she hasn't thought that this will be so important, and she decided to either sell or rent the rest of apartments. It made me feel kind of uneasy. If we are together for so long, and we've both decided to move in together, then shouldn't we both discuss and choose which apartment to move into? She apologized, though, so I left it at that. But it didn't end here. I later learned that she also inherited a house that she has sold without consulting me. She argued that she wanted to give the money to her mom so she could live comfortably. But I don't believe that anyone would just sell a freaking house to give money to someone else. That's pure BS. Another thing that is making me confused is how she just doesn't want to share. Her father left a car and lots of electronics like a MacBook, and she just claimed it without even asking if I need a new laptop or something. I'm not expecting her to not use her inheritance, but we've been together for 4 years. She knows that I was thinking about buying a new laptop. It would be nice if she at least asked. I also thought that she would at least let me drive the new car, but she's just started to brag about how it's her first car, etc. She's not even driving it because she prefers to take a bus or walk to most places. She also wants to split bills evenly, even though I know she has a lot more money now, and I'm pretty sure she wouldn't even need my share of payment. I asked her about it, and she actually got kind of mad at me this time. Told me that we are not married or anything, and I shouldn't just expect her to give her whole inheritance to me. So yeah, just usual over-emotional woman BS, because that's not what I asked for at all. I told her that I just feel left out because she's deciding what to do with the apartments herself, and then she's just claiming the car and the MacBook while I'm here too. She just doesn't want to understand. She actually argued that this is exactly why she never told me about her father's wealth, as if I was some gold digger or something. How to make her realize that her selfishness may break us apart. I feel like it's harder and harder for me to commit when I know that there are people out there who would be way more caring in a relationship than her. I was thinking about suggesting a couple therapy because I love her and don't want to break up, but she has to realize that she's not alone, and I should be involved in the decisions she's making. Now for the updates. First update, would I be the a-hole if I report my girlfriend's mother for tax evasion? From what I understood, monetary gifts are considered income in certain cases, if the tax wasn't paid already by the one who gifted the money, for example. My GF paid inheritance tax, but I don't think it's the same as income tax. I would need to consult a lawyer on this. I believe that the exact amount of the gift is way above the taxable threshold, as it was money from my GF's father house, which was a lot. I'm not sure, but I know my mother-in-law. She believes that I'm after my GF's money and inheritance. I caught her telling my GF that I'm not worthy, greedy gold digger. She is projecting her own wrongdoings on me. It's important to me because my GF is naive and she believes she did the right thing. I don't think she did. Second update. We, as in me and my GF, started couple therapy a few months ago. Our relationship went through a rough patch. We were both at fault and decided to work on it instead of calling it quits. Our therapist is a very renowned one, so I had high hopes for this. The first few meetings went well, but then he started to be weirdly invested in our relationship. After those first few meetings, I think 2 or 3, I don't remember, he suggested that we both need separate therapy, with different specialists, to work on ourselves and not just focus on our relationship. I refused, as I see no reason to go into therapy myself. We went just for couple counseling anyway. But as I said, he grew overly interested, especially in my girlfriend's well-being, as he put it, and brought up individual therapy each time we went. I wanted to change our therapist, but my GF was really against the idea, to the point of being mad at me for even suggesting it, which I also found weird. She eventually started her individual therapy per his suggestion. It's been a month. She's going to see her therapist every week, while we go to our therapist for couple counseling at least once a month. And I just want to say, she changed. Not in a good way, actually. She started to be more nitpicky, argumentative, accusatory even. She would pick up a fight over something, then bring it up in our session, have our therapist agree with her, and then they both gang up on me. The most recent example is from a week ago, when I finally had enough. We had a mutual agreement about our living situation. We split bills unevenly, which means she pays more since she has more money than me anyway. It was never a problem for her before, but suddenly it is. And then our therapist is like it's unfair, burdensome, etc. So I told my GF that either we change our therapist or I don't want to go, to which she replies that either we go to this therapist or we break up. I think breaking up over my request is a huge overreaction, but she refuses to even have a normal discussion with me, saying things like eye for an eye, ultimatum for an ultimatum. I'm at loss. Was my request really so unreasonable? Is there even a way to salvage this? I need some help. Maybe anyone has any idea how to approach this issue without my GF going into an ultimatum mode. Edit. Since everyone is bringing up my past mistakes and previous posts, yes, I know I was wrong for this, but we were supposed to work this out in therapy. I thought we were on relationship advice, and this sub was about, well, advice? Why is everyone choosing to ignore the issues stated in this post? And now for the last update. Edit. Asking here was a mistake. I will have fun reporting your private messages to me for harassment. Edit. Well, I don't know who did this or why, but someone not only found me on Facebook, but also went through my profile, I guess, to find my girlfriend and linked her to my Reddit. Yeah, not to this post, but my whole account and my previous post. Do you feel better now? Are you going to sleep better? I hope you're proud of yourself for ruining our relationship and probably making me homeless. Good thing is, I don't have to go to therapy anymore, since she's not going to pay for it anymore. Story 2. My 27F, acting strange after business trip. What do I do? Update. Original post. We have been together for a year and a half, and our relationship has been good up to this point. She was out for 5 days for a business trip to a conference. Without disclosing much, we both work in the same field, but not a lot of overlap. The conference would debut a project she had been working on. I did not go because of my own work, but she went with her coworkers on the project and everyone seemed to have a great time. I picked her up from the airport 2 nights ago, and when I went in for a hug and kiss, she didn't return it and just went to grab her luggage. The whole ride home, she was basically catatonic. She didn't want to talk much and would either ignore me, give a delayed, short answer, or be very short with me. The only thing I could get when I asked what's wrong was, "I'm tired." When we got home, I reheated some food for her while she was in the shower. After the shower, she took her bowl but dropped it on the way to the table and immediately started crying. I tried to comfort her and give her mine, but she angrily said she wasn't hungry and was going to bed and went to our bedroom, where she ripped the blankets and her pillow off of the bed, brought them into her office to the bed she uses for naps, and closed the door. She hasn't really left her office since. We are now on day 2, but I do see she is coming out of her office for food. I've sent texts asking to talk, but she hasn't responded. The door is locked, but if I knock, she will say she's okay, but napping. She won't talk to me, and I don't really know what's wrong. Obviously, something major happened. I checked social media, but everyone was smiles online. I spoke to my friend who went with her. He worked with her on the project and asked how it all went that first night. He felt the trip went well and everyone had a good time. I inquired more about GF after, and he did tell me there was a part of the trip about halfway through where she started crying over lunch, but he didn't have any other details. I don't really think she is cheating, but I also don't know what could cause this. Any help? Now for the update. Thank you to everyone who showed concern regarding my GF. I stopped responding to the comments because they were overwhelming, and it wasn't helpful for me to read that stuff when I was at work and couldn't do anything about it. I've been pretty slammed with work, and the demands for updates in the comments and inbox have also been overwhelming. With so many people assuming an assault and asking for details, it felt voyeuristic, where people wanted a window into my GF suffering. That disturbed both of us. Ultimately, I decided to update because there was no cheating or assault at all, despite almost everyone thinking it was definitely one of the two cases. I'll give my GF the name Lily, our friend who was on the trip, Jake, and her close friend and roommate on the trip, Jane, for ease. I called Jane, despite people saying no, and asked about the trip. Jane remarked that Lily was very tired and wouldn't talk much outside of the days on the business trip, and that was consistent from day one. I asked if she felt like something happened. She said no. I asked if she felt like Jake might have done something. She said absolutely not. When I came back from work, I saw signs Lily was more functional, as she had done some cleaning. I took the chance to ask if she wanted food. She agreed. We ate a meal, and I broached the subject. The missing piece to the puzzle is that Lily has ADHD. This was an important fact, but one I forget as she manages it well. I tend to think of what are symptoms more as cute GF quirks because a lot of general ADHD behaviors she mitigates, like forgetfulness. What happened on the trip is that to save money, she shared a room with Jane, which she has done on short bursts, but never for such long of a trip. As I mentioned, it was a business trip, so although Lily had a lot of fun, she was working both physically and socially for up to 20 hours at a time. She had nowhere to go and reset at the end of this. She had enough emotional gas to come home, but she had some flight delay issues at a very busy airport, and by the time she came home, she couldn't make it. She also felt like my asking of her trip in the car was like an interrogation because of her mental state. Her ADHD has never come like this because she manages it well and hasn't been in this environment in a long time. We decided that from now on, she should have her hotel room by herself, or with me, regardless of the cost. I also agreed to not ask any questions when I pick her up from her flight, and she will instead tell me what she wants. If not, I will ask another day. We came up with some other plans so that I know how she is when she comes home. Saturday night, we went to an event. She had fun, but crashed immediately at home. It was more on the scale I am used to after a 3-day trip. She has cleared her schedule for the next week to recuperate. Edit: everyone is stuck on Lily's travel expense. I have copied and pasted the comment for those unable to search on their own. This better explains Lily's job. Think about when you go to a convention where someone is selling items at a table. These individuals have to often buy their booth and pay for their hotel to travel to the convention. I use the term business trip because for Lily, Jake, and Jane, this is a business trip. They are there on business, not vacation. Additionally, many people are convinced this is an excuse to cover consistent bad behavior. It has never happened before. She was stuck in the most crowded airport in the country for 7 hours longer than she was supposed to be. She hadn't slept for 5 days and hadn't eaten in a day. This led her to a point where she felt sick, and by the time she came home, it is 1:30 a.m. and she is exhausted and hungry. This was an exceptionally bad day for her, which resulted in her behavior. It was not out of malice or entitlement, and it is not how she would act in any other situation. Everyone deserves a little grace now and then, which is something that Redditors do not seem to understand. For those convinced that she is lying and still must be assaulted or have cheated, and those who rooted for her to be raped, those who are just being rude because it's the internet, or for those who choose to waste their comments pretending to be Lily's doctor, I hope you find a better hobby in your life. I hope you can find the resources to deal with your immaturity. I am done with this account. The problem is solved and the update is there. If nothing else, I have learned that Reddit is a terrible place to receive any kind of advice.